The Davante Adams contract has to be absorbed by the new team, and the team has to have enough cap space the moment the deal is done to take on the prorated $16.89 million base salary, $510,000 in per game roster bonuses. Each week, those numbers go down. You got to be able to fit all of that under the cap. You can't redo his deal on the way through the door. You have to have enough to take it as the deal is, so you better create cap space elsewhere. And if any team that's on that list, Devin, starts creating cap space, restructuring contracts, that may be a precursor to a Davante Adams trade. But somebody told me last night, I wrote about this last night, the Raiders might end up paying some of that money because we've seen cash become a way to buy better draft picks. And if you can ship a more attractive contract to a team that might be cap-strapped, you get more. Instead of a 3, you get a 2. Instead of a 4, you get a 3. Instead of a 3 and a 4, you get a 2 and a 3. Whatever it may be, there's value, draft pick value, in the Raiders eating some of that money, maybe redoing the deal on the way out the door and making it easier for a new team to take that in. So a couple of dynamics to watch, because the cap reality, like for the Saints, they got $3 or $4 million in cap space. They're going to have to do some work. And it's either going to be clearing cap space on their end or the Raiders pushing that cap number down that gets sent to a new team.
And I think about the Saints, the way they've played offensively, like receiver hasn't been an issue. And I understand the mentality and the thought process of, well, if it's already a strength, let's make it even better and go into the season that way. But I just think of the Saints, and I get the Carr situation and him wanting to go play there. And I know as soon as you say, well, it didn't really work out the first time, people are going to go and they're going to pull up his stats and what he did there. But like ultimately the goal would have been to have success there, compete for a Super Bowl, and still be together in Vegas. So to me, from that point, Derek Carr was Vegas's quarterback for a long time. And I think the people, whether it was in Oakland or Vegas, had come to really enjoy and love Carr there from a fan standpoint. And Davante Adams going there ultimately was the beginning to him being gone along with Josh McDaniels. So I just look and I'm just like, what is the rush to put that together again? And if I'm the Saints, do I think bringing Davante Adams in gets us over the top? Is that like the missing piece? And maybe they do, but I just wonder because, like we said, the same thing with the Jets. When you have these teams that have guys who are productive and they're making plays, you look at Olave, you look at Rashid Shaheed, you look at Kamara, like you look at what they're doing offensively, like they got to feel pretty good about that. They got to feel like, all right, we got to pick it back up. You know, we've had 90 points in the first 2 games, but we're still confident in what we have. And soon as Davante Adams walks into the door, somebody's target, some of that goes down. And I just think from a player perspective, that's okay to go down if ultimately it means we're better to go win a Super Bowl. And maybe Davante Adams is coming in. Maybe he has the mentality of wherever I go next, if that means less is more for us to win, maybe he's coming in with that approach and he's happy with that. So I just think that's the biggest part of this, of teams have to have a good understanding of their locker room and how making this big move will impact everybody else in your locker room. I remember being in New England and being in certain captains meetings and talking about that with Coach Belichick, of when you do make a move, of understanding not only is this player going to help us on the field, but like I got to first get the guys in the locker room to not maybe fully understand this, but somewhat be on board. And I know it didn't work out in 2019. We're talking about Antonio Brown, but bringing in Antonio Brown was kind of a situation like that. We got in there and we were talking about it, and people were like, we were in there as captains meetings like, yeah, like Antonio Brown will help. And again, we felt like we had the culture and the type of locker room that anything that happened outside or maybe his personality, like whatever it was like, no, he'll be fine in here. Like that's what we do. And I remember Brady saying that, hey, we understand that what we've built as a locker room here can take on and handle all of those different situations. Like, we don't say no to those situations. We say yes, bring in this guy, bring in that guy, whatever happens, like we know it'll work out here. And I think that has to be something, a team that is really built on winning and trying to do something positive and win a Super Bowl. I think you have to think about that. And so far, I don't think a lot of the conversations have been about that. Of Davante has been about X's and O's and what he can do. But I think you just have to think about that. And I know, like I said, in New England, we had those conversations and we brought in guys like you knew it was going to work because of what we had around. And you think about Antonio Brown, only there for a week, but you look at the Miami game, if he was able to stay there, I think ultimately like it would have built up to that season going really well. Very similar to 2018 when Josh Gordon came and his situation in Cleveland and all of those, he gets on the team and I think only plays 11 or 12 games and finishes with like 700 yards, a few touchdowns. So I think you have to have that perspective and understanding that we got to make this work across the board, not just when we draw up a game plan and what we think might happen. This has to work everywhere, in the locker room, when we're in the practice field, like everything has to work out.
I've been racking my brain during the period of time that the Saints were high-end contenders. And it started, really 2006, right away when Sean Payton got there, they got to the NFC Championship. They win the Super Bowl 2009. For most of the next decade, they are contenders. They had, rip your heart out and show it to you moments in the postseason, 2017, 18, 19 timeframe. I don't remember them making a deadline move. I don't remember them making a trade. I don't remember them disrupting their vibe by saying we're just going to add this piece and that's going to put us over the top. I'm not saying it didn't happen. All I'm saying is I don't remember that. They don't seem to have that attitude and that approach. Let's go out and let's go grab a guy that's going to help put us over the top or whatever the case may be. And I think back to the original Davante Adams trade. Okay, he's reuniting with Derek Carr. They were together at Fresno State. But then, at some point after he has a big first season with the Raiders, it comes out that Davante Adams, after he said he went from one Hall of Fame quarterback to another, which no one believed, all due respect to Derek Carr, then it comes out he wanted to go somewhere where he could have a big year and people would know it wasn't because of Aaron Rodgers. So just the fact that he's being linked to the Saints, like sometimes I wonder how much of this is being leaked by people close to Adams. And I want to choose my words here carefully. How much of it is somebody who's a reporter just kind of throwing a dart and making a connection that's fairly obvious? Like, does he really want to go back with Carr? Do the Saints really want him? It seems like it's the Jets or talk me into it. So I'm with you. I don't think the Saints make a whole lot of sense because of how the Saints have conducted themselves over the years and what we know about Adams and Carr and why he wanted to be with the Raiders in the first place and on and on. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.